Hello, everyone. We are going to be doing a yoga flow in just a few moments. Just wanted to make sure everything was all set up, and then I will go back to my mat. So if you don't have a mat yet, you can grab your mat, get that all set up, find a comfortable seat, however that is for you. So for me, I like to sit cross-legged. You can always sit on a block or you can lay down. Really finding anything that works the best for you. Before we get started, so this is going to be a flow class. So anything that is too difficult or you just don't want to do, you don't have to, because I can't see you and you can do whatever you want. So you may see some mist floating in front of the phone or the camera. I have a diffuser going today, and it has lemon, peppermint, and a little bit of rosemary in it. And so that is diffusing for me right now. I also have a glass of wine ready for when this is over. So if you want to grab a glass of wine or water or whatever it is that you want when we are done, please feel free to do that as well. So today we are going to begin in a seated position and gently lowering the gaze or closing your eyes and beginning to deepen the breath. Nice long inhales in through the nose and exhales back out through the nose. Feeling the lungs expanding on the inhale and completely deflating on the exhale. And today, in our mind, just bring forth a place that you love to be. Maybe it's home, maybe it's a vacation you've taken, maybe it's somewhere you've never been but would like to, and just begin to bring that to the forefront of your mind. Seeing this place on your inhales, adding details with our exhales. And now using some of the other senses. So not only what you see, but maybe what does it smell like there? What do you hear? How does it make you feel? Do you feel calm, happy, excited? And just acknowledging that feeling, whatever it is. Continuing to take a few more deep breaths, feeling yourself in this place. Maybe you're at a beach or a lake. Maybe you're hiking a mountain. Maybe you're in your bed all cozy, reading a book and drinking coffee. Just really feeling wherever you are right now in your mind. And take just 2 more deep breaths here. Holding that inhale for 1 extra second. And slowly exhaling all the way back out. And then begin to open your eyes if you closed your eyes. And coming back to the mat. So as we go through, we are going to connect each breath with our movement. So you can probably hear my dog in the background barking. So there's always distractions around, but being able to focus on ourselves and on our mat and on our breathing is important because there's always going to be something happening around you. So good. We're going to bring our hands to our knees. So if you are not sitting crisscrossed here, you can do that. I'm sort of sitting in a half locust, but you can just sit crisscross, however is comfortable for you. And bringing our hands to our knees. On our inhale, we're going to pull our knees and open our chest up. And on the exhale, we're going to round our spine. Let our chin drop towards our chest. And inhale to open. Gaze can go to the ceiling. Exhale to round. And take 2 more of these breaths, feeling the heart reaching up towards the sky on the inhale, and really feeling the rounding of your spine on the exhale. And coming back to neutral. Inhale our arms up overhead. Exhale, hands to heart center. One more time. Inhale. Exhale down. Good. Bringing your hands to the mat, just rolling over those legs and coming to a tabletop pose. So our knees are going to be right under our hips and our wrists will be right under our shoulders. And then just settling in here. And then move your hands. So then your hands are sort of pointing out onto the outsides of your mat and just rock back and forth. Just a little bit of a wrist stretch here. And coming back to center and then bringing the fingers to point towards the knees. Okay, you might walk the fingers a little bit closer if this is uncomfortable, right? Just a little stretch here. Don't take any movements that hurt. And bringing our hands back around, coming back under our shoulders. And on our inhale, we're going to take those same breaths that we took while we were sitting. So our heart and tail are going to reach up while our gaze goes up. And then on our exhale, we'll round our spine and drop our head and neck nice and heavy. And inhale, really warming up our spine. Exhale to round. One more time on the inhale. And exhale to round. Coming back to center. And from here, we're going to reach that left arm forward like we're shaking hands, and our right foot's going to come back. And we're going to let that right foot rest on the mat to start with. Just feeling that belly pulling in and up, activating that core here. Pushing into the top of that left foot. And then maybe lifting your right foot. We're going to take an inhale and really reach. And on our exhale, we're going to bring our elbow to our knee underneath our body. Kind of like a crunch. And then inhale to lengthen. Exhale to crunch. One more time. Inhale to lengthen. Exhale, crunch. And come back to that tabletop. And move gently here. Taking whatever movements feel good to your body, realigning, and we will take the other side. So right hand comes forward, and then our left foot steps back, keeping that heel, the toe on the floor. To start with, just to feel that alignment, pulling in the belly button, and then lifting that left foot if you want to. Feeling your breath. Focusing on that breath, especially if balance is difficult. So bringing that focus onto your breath. On the exhale, knee to elbow. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, crunch. One more. Inhale, lengthen. And exhale, touch. And coming back to our table. Good, bringing our big toes together, our knees are gonna widen to the outside of our mat, and we're gonna sink our hips back towards our heels. Arms are gonna walk forward, coming to our child's pose. You can rest your head down onto the mat. And just breathing here. Maybe stretch those fingers a little bit further. Letting those shoulders really warm up here. And slowly begin to walk the fingers back, coming back to our tabletop. And we are going to take our left arm and we're going to reach it up to the sky first. And we're going to lace it, sort of loop it underneath our right arm. Right, it's like you're threading a needle. And you're going to come down onto that left shoulder. Your head can rest on the mat. And maybe that right arm walks forward. Or it can come to your lower back. It's really up to you where that hand goes. It can stay right here too. And just stretching that left shoulder. And bringing that right hand back, if it is stretched out or behind your back, pushing into that right hand to lift the left hand back to the mat. Nice work. We're going to take the other side. So this time, right arm reaches up. And then thread it under that left, coming to the outside of that right shoulder. And resting the head down. That left arm can, again, either walk forward, stay where it is. It can come behind your back. And bringing that left hand back, pushing into the left hand, bringing our right hand back out. Nice work. We're going to walk our hands just about a handprint forward, so they're not directly under our shoulders. Curl the toes under and then hover the knees here just for a moment. Hover the knees. Feel the muscles in our core activating, our legs. And then pushing our hips up and back, coming to a down dog. Letting the head and neck hang heavy here. Heels working towards the floor. Maybe you flex and bend one knee and then the other, walking the dog here. And just breathing into the stretch. If this becomes too much, you can always drop the knees and do sort of a puppy pose. Or you can come to the elbows into dolphin. That is also an option. And taking just 2 more breaths here, in whichever pose you are in. Bending those knees slightly. We're going to walk our feet all the way up to meet our hands at the top of our mat. Coming into a forward fold. Heel toe those feet about hips width apart. And then let your upper body hang down. So your head, your neck, everything is hanging down heavy. Maybe you grab opposite elbows. And you can sway side to side. Even forward to back. Letting your head shake yes or no. And in this pose, feel free to really bend those knees. Right? You can even rest those elbows on the knees and let the head hang heavy. And releasing the hands back to the mat. Bringing our hands to our shins. We're going to come up to a flat back. The head is reaching forward. Our hips are reaching back, making a nice flat surface with our spine. And exhale down. And then slowly rolling to stand, vertebra by vertebra. Head and neck coming up last. And sinking those feet into your mat, letting the hands be strong and active by the sides, coming to our mountain pose. Inhale our shoulders up and exhale them down the spine. Shoulders relaxed away from the ears. Knees are pulled in and up so our legs are working. Our head is reaching towards the ceiling. Good. Inhale, our arms come up and overhead. And exhale to forward fold. Plant those palms on the floor and step back to a plank pose. So into our plank pose. From here, lower your knees, but keep them so they just drop where they are. So you're not in that tabletop, you're tilted forward. Uncurl the toes. And we are going to lower all the way down so we can come to our cobra pose. But we're going to bend those elbows back so they stay right by our ribs. And lower all the way down. Pushing into the tops of the feet to lift the knees. Inhale to lift the head and the chest. Baby cobra. Keeping that gaze right at like the front of the mat so that your neck is long. And lowering down. Inhale to that tabletop. Exhale back to that down dog. Nice work. Taking just 2 breaths here. And then just separate the feet so they're a little bit more than hips width apart. So it's like a little bit of a wide-legged down dog here. And we're going to come up to our toes and drop both of our heels towards the right. Just creating a side stretch here for a minute. And coming back to center. Pushing back to our down dog. Heels reaching towards the ground. And then back to the tippy toes. Both heels towards the left and dropping the heels to the mat. Keeping those shoulders square. And back to down dog. From here, rocking forward back to that plank pose. And again, feel free to lower those knees like we did the first time. But if you'd like to try the next level, keep the knees up. Rock towards those tippy toes so our shoulders are slightly over the wrists. And lower all the way down. One nice fluid motion. Pressing into the tops of the feet. Inhale up to that baby cobra. And exhaling down. And inhaling either back through that tabletop, or you can push up to a plank pose and back to down dog. And then walk the feet to meet the hands at the top of the mat. Coming to that forward fold. Hands come to our shins and our flat back. Exhale, fold. And then inhale, arms reach out and up. Extending our mountain. Exhale to heart center. Good, keeping those hands at heart center for a minute. Adjusting myself over here. Taking just 2 deep breaths. And we're going to go through that sequence just one more time. So inhaling, arms up and overhead. Exhaling to fold. Inhale, hands come to shins. Exhale, plant those palms and come to our high crescent. I cannot think of what this is called right now. Plank pose. And taking either of the previous 2 flows is fine. So either lowering the knees or lowering all the way down. Or you can come to the toes and lower just halfway to chaturanga, stopping when you're about 90 degrees, and then rolling to the tops of the feet for up dog, and exhaling back to down dog. And those are just the 3 different levels of vinyasa. Choosing whichever one is best for you is the best option. So always doing what your body is asking for. And walking those feet back to meet the hands. Inhaling, hands to shins. Exhaling, fold. And inhaling, arms reach out and up. Coming to heart center. And we are going to come into our sun salutation B. So that was sort of our warm up, our flow for our sun salutation A. So we're going to bring our big toes together. Our heels can be slightly apart, right? Because it would be, it's not, they sort of naturally are apart, right? So if even this is uncomfortable, you can have your feet maybe hips width apart, whatever is comfortable for you. So keeping those feet nice and grounded, activating up through the legs. We're going to sink our hips down as if we're sitting into a chair. So first we're going to start with our hands on our hips. So just bending those knees and sinking the hips down like we're sitting onto a chair. And we don't want to come too far forward or too far back. So you really just want those hips to stay nice and straight and just sinking down. Perfect. And then maybe your arms come up overhead. Relaxing those shoulders away from the ears so you're not up here, relaxing them down. And if you turn your pinkies in a little bit more than the thumbs, it naturally brings those shoulders down. And just sinking into this chair pose. Feeling the belly pulling in and up. Every muscle is working. Head is reaching towards the ceiling. One more round of breath. Inhale. And exhale to stand. Maybe shake it all out. Nice job. Inhale, arms up overhead. Exhale, heart center, and sink back into that chair pose. This time we're going to bring our right arm forward and our left arm back. So we are in a open T twist here. Our lower body is staying exactly where it is, and just our upper body is twisting. Right? So you want to check your knees, make sure they're not moving or one going out or the other, right? So just looking down to watch. Coming back to center and switching sides. Open T to the other side. And back to center. Hands and standing up. Good. We are going to take our left foot and step our left foot back and making our way into a warrior one. So our left foot is going to be pointing towards about 10 o'clock if we were looking at a clock in front of us. And our right knee is bending about 90 degrees. Our hips are turning towards the front. Right, so this toe has to sort of be diagonal, or there's no way your hip could move in this direction. And just sinking into it. I like to keep my hands on my hips, at least initially, to really feel like I'm settling into the pose. If you feel comfortable there, you can always lift your arms, or you can always cactus them. Good. Arms reach up. Inhale. And on our exhale, we're going to open to a warrior two. So we're going to open that stance wider. That front leg really stays exactly the same. But our back leg, I think I'm a little, walks out so that this front hip feels like it's opening and this back hip is sort of internally rotating. Our back toes are now parallel, or the back foot's parallel with the back of the mat. And our hips are settled right, shoulders over our hips. Arms can reach out in opposite directions, sinking down. Feeling the crown of the head reaching on the inhale and sinking on the exhale. So this is a super strong pose, but it's also a hip opener. So it's a gentle hip opener in the beginning. Flipping that front palm, reaching up and to reverse that warrior. Coming back to stand. Straightening that front knee and moving all of our toes in the same direction. Bring your hands to your lower back, kind of like you're putting them in the pockets of jeans, and inhale to open the chest. Just feeling those hips pushing forward, heart reaching up. Coming back to stand, turning those right toes back towards the side to our warrior two. Hands can come to hips, back toes coming back to warrior one. And straighten into that front knee. And just bring your gaze forward. Hands can stay on hips, or maybe you clasp your hands behind you, or if you have like a towel or strap, whatever, that can work too. And bringing the gaze forward, releasing the hands. Hands are going to come to the floor so that you are in that low lunge, and then you're going to drop that back knee, releasing the back toes so that they are flat. So that right knee is still forward. We're going to plant our left palm and reach our right arm up to open into a twist. Keeping that lower back flat here so you don't want to pop out. Arm can reach up. Feeling your breath. And right arm comes down. Uncurl those toes and step that left foot to the front of your mat. Coming to that forward fold. And slowly rolling up to stand. Good. Inhale, arms up overhead. Exhale, heart center. Now we're going to take that same sequence on the other side. So our left foot is forward. We're going to step our right foot back. Toes pointing now to 2 o'clock. Right? So if you envision a clock in front of you. Bending that left knee. Again, I like to bring my hands to my hips to move my hips slightly towards as close to the straight as I can get them. Not everyone's are going to move that way, so really wherever they can go, right? Keeping that back heel planted. And the arms can go up, or they can always cactus out, right? Making goalposts with the arms. One more round of breath. Inhale the arms up. Exhale, we're going to open now to that warrior two. So that back foot widens and that front knee stays bent. But our back foot walks back, toes slightly in. So again, you feel that external rotation of this hip, internal rotation of this hip. Arms can come out. Sinking down. Flipping that front palm, reaching up and reversing. Feeling that stretch all down the side body. Coming back to stand. Straightening into that front knee and moving those toes forward, coming into that wide-legged forward fold. Hands can come right to the lower back, or maybe you can clasp your hands behind you to open that chest a little bit more. We're going to inhale, and on our exhale, we're going to hinge forward, but stop when we get halfway. So until we get to a flat back, we're just going to stop and hold here for a minute. Gaze can be towards the floor so that your neck is long. And coming back up, releasing the hands. Good. And turning those left toes back out to that warrior two. Coming back to our warrior one. And those hands come down to the mat. Lifting that back heel so that we are in a low runner's lunge here. Dropping that knee. Good. And you don't want your knee directly under the hip. So you want the hips a little bit forward. Really feeling the stretch in the hip flexor. And then planting that right hand, we're going to reach the left arm up. Feeling the spine lengthen on the inhale and twist on the exhale. And lowering the left hand, coming back to that low runner's lunge, and then stepping that right foot to meet the left. Hands come to shins, flat back. Exhale, fold. And slowly rolling up to stand. Nice work. We're going to bring our big toes together and come back to that chair pose one more time. So we are going to sink into our chair, bringing our hands to our hips. And then hands are going to come to heart center. And we're going to hinge forward. And we are going to bring our right elbow to the outside of our left knee. It can come right in between the knees if that is inaccessible. Or you can always stay in that open T too if that's more comfortable. Binding that right elbow with the left knee and twisting open. Using that bind to really twist to the left. Last round of breath. Inhale. Exhale to a forward fold. And walk the feet about hips width or maybe a little bit wider apart. We're going to grab our peace fingers. We're going to grab our big toes with our peace fingers. Inhale to that flat back. Exhale, forward fold, letting those elbows splay out. Head and neck fall heavy. Maybe you rock side to side here. We're just countering our twist. Releasing the grip and bringing the heels and toes back together. And we're going to inhale right up to our chair pose. And we're going to take the other side. So if you do the open T on that side, do the open T on this side. Left arm forward, right arm back. Or if you took it deeper, hinging forward, our left elbow is now going to bind with our right knee. And using that bind to really push into the hands and deepen that twist. Feeling your spine lengthening and sinking on the exhales. Last round of breath, inhale and exhale to fold. This time, widening those feet, our toes are going to point out and our heels are going to point in. And we are going to come into a malasana, a squat pose. So you can just come, keeping the heels down. So if this is difficult and you have a block, you can sit right onto your block. Because we're really countering our twist here. So as long as our spine is long, that's really the goal of the pose. Okay. If you would like to make it more difficult and just hold your squat, you can do that as well. Try not to dump into the hips here. Hands come to the mat, hips reach up. And slowly rolling to stand. Stepping those feet together. And we are going to take 2 balance poses here. So our first pose we are going to take is dancer. So I'm going to do it sideways because it's easier to see. So we're going to plant our left foot into the mat. My mat is very sticky today. I'm not sure why. And we're going to bend that right knee. So if you have a wall and you want to use a wall, feel free. That's totally fine. If you're a chair, especially to step up into the pose. So I'm just going to use the wall so that I don't fall when you're trying to watch me do it. Bend that right knee. That right hand comes out and you grab the inside of that right foot. So if this is really difficult just to grab the inside of that foot because of your shoulders not being super flexible, you can stay right here. Right? This is always a choice. And you can always do this with a strap. Then, if you would like to, that left arm can come out. And maybe you push that right foot into the right hand and hinge forward a little. Finding one point of focus, one solid drishti that's not moving to focus on, right? Coming back to stand, releasing the foot, and switching sides. So if you were using a wall, you can just turn your body. This time rooting into that right foot, lifting the left knee, left hand comes back. So my shoulders aren't super flexible. So it takes me, I have to reach for the outside and then make my way to the inside because my shoulders hate me. I don't know. And then again, you can stay right here or you can reach up. I'm going to hold the ceiling right in front of me and hinge forward. And if you are in like your attic bedroom, like I am, and your ceiling's right here, you can totally use that support. Coming back to stand, releasing the foot and shaking it out. Nice work. The next balance pose we're going to do is tree pose. So we're going to go back to rooting into that left foot because that's the side we started on. So rooting into that left foot. We're going to take our right foot. It can start as a kickstand. It can come to your shin or it can come to your thigh, whichever you would like. Hands can come to heart center or you can grow your branches up. And really feeling that left leg not just dump down. You really want to activate all those muscles in that left leg, pulling up through those muscles, keeping those hips nice and square. Hands can come back to heart, release, down. And we'll take the other side. Switching sides, so either bringing that foot to the kickstand, the shin, or the thigh. Hands can come to heart, or they can reach up, wherever you want. Maybe they reach out. Maybe you clasp your hands behind your back. Really taking whatever pose feels good for you here. So if your shoulders are tight, maybe you reach behind you. Last round of breath, inhale and exhale down, releasing. Nice. And we're going to go through one more flow of vinyasa right here. So we inhale our arms up and over, exhale to fold, plant those palms and step back to that plank and take whatever form you want here. So whether you lower your knees or keep them lifted and lower all the way down, or you come to chaturanga and come to up dog, whatever you would like. Just meet me back in down dog in a few breaths. And settling into the down dog for just a couple breaths before we move on to our next sequence. We're going to step our right foot between our hands, coming to that low runner's lunge. And we're going to drop that back knee again, uncurling that left toe. And you can stay right here. That's totally fine. If you would like to bring your hands up to that front thigh, you can sink a little deeper. And one step further, lifting the arms, interlacing our thumbs. Fingers kind of look like a butterfly. And arching slightly up, heart reaching towards the ceiling. Taking a little back bend. Coming back to neutral, hands come down, and nothing really moves except we walk our hands back so that that front leg straightens. The back knee stays right where it was, coming to a half split. Coming back forward, uncurling those back toes. I like to step my foot in just a little bit so I have a little bit more balance, and inhaling up to a high lunge. Our left arm's going to reach forward and our right arm will reach back. Bringing that right hand to that left thigh and reaching the left arm up. Coming back up to center and straightening into that front knee. Bringing your hands to your hips here. We're going to hinge forward, keeping that front knee straight, hinging forward. Just until the point where you feel like you want to curl your back and then stop, because you want to keep your back nice and long. Coming back up, rebending. And hands come back to the mat. Press into the hands. Lift that right foot and step back to our down dog. Same thing other side. Left foot steps forward. Dropping that back knee. Hands can come to that left thigh. And maybe they come overhead. Try to interlace the thumbs in the opposite direction. It should feel weird. It should be the weird way. And sinking into that hip flexor. Letting the shoulders relax down from the ears. Hands can come down. And again, walking the hands back to straighten that front knee. Half split. You can flex the toes up towards your face. Feeling that stretch along that whole left hamstring. And coming forward, uncurling those toes. And again, maybe hop in a little bit to feel a little more secure. And rise up to our high lunge. Anjaneyasana. Good. This time our right arm comes forward and our left arm comes back. Open T-twist. Left arm reaches that right thigh. Right arm reaches up. Back to the twist. Arms up. Straightening into that front knee. Hands coming either to the hips, or you can interlace them behind you, or maybe just grab opposite wrists or forearms and hinging forward. Feeling the stretch in the front back of that left leg. Coming back up, rebending. Hands coming down. planting that back knee and just coming into our tabletop. Toes together, knees out, sinking back, child's pose. So taking a few breaths here in our child's pose. Just checking the time. Feeling those hips sinking back. Two more rounds of breath in our child's pose. Maybe walk your fingers to the right side of your mat. Little side stretch on the left. Walking them back to center. And then over to the left. Little side stretch on the right. And back to center. Coming back to our tabletop. And then making our way into a seated position back on our mat. First, we're going to bring the soles of our feet together. They do not have to be pulled super far in. They can be out, make more of a diamond. Whatever's comfortable. Hands can come to the feet. I always feel like I need to move around until I get comfortable. Keeping the back nice and long. Head is reaching towards the ceiling. Your tail is sinking into the mat. Nice and rooted, grounded. And then we're going to hinge a little bit forward. So it doesn't have to be far. So if this already is a lot for your hips, stay upright. If you could feel more in the hips, then gently hinging forward. Maybe those elbows come towards the knees and gently press them down. But they don't have to. Your hands can stay on your feet and you can just hinge forward. Feeling our hips gently opening. And coming back up, knees come in. And then straighten your legs straight out in front of you. We are going to bring our arms up overhead. You can bend your knees here as much as you want. We really want to lengthen our spine. So I tend to bend my knees a lot, and then I kind of work them into straighter. So arms straight, hinging forward. And then I can sort of scoot my bum back a little, and it straightens my legs a little bit more. But my knees are not locked out here. You don't ever really want to lock out your knees. So having a bend is not doing the pose correctly. The pose is about lengthening your spine. And yes, it does stretch your hamstrings too. And coming back up. Taking that left foot slightly out, bringing that right foot in and the sole of the foot coming to that left thigh. And your torso is going to square with that front leg. Arms come up and hinging forward. And now as we slow our poses down, it's a really good time to bring that breath back into focus. As yes, obviously we're breathing the whole time, but when we're going through some of the harder, more strengthening poses, it's easy to lose focus on that breath. So the slower poses and more gentle poses help us really bring that focus in. Coming back up and switching sides. Right foot comes out, the left sole of that foot comes in, resting somewhere along the thigh. Body squares with that front leg and hinging forward. One of your sides is probably a little bit more flexible than the other. Very typical. I'm a lefty, so mine's usually the opposite of everybody else's flexible side. Coming back up. Releasing here. letting those legs, shake them out. That's the word I was looking for. Shake it out. And we are going to lower onto our spine here. So coming to sit at a diagonal, really lengthening your spine, and then slowly lowering down, holding on to those knees like we did at the beginning and rounding out that belly. And then inhale and bring that heart open. And on the exhale, rounding. And then inhale, look up. Last one, rounding. And then lowering all the way down to your mat, keeping your back flat on the mat. Bending the knees and planting the feet as close to your hips as you can. Some people can reach their heels from here naturally, and that's fine. I have short arms, so I cannot do that. So as long as your feet are as close as they can be to your hips without lifting the heels, then you're fine. And we're going to come into a bridge pose first. So pushing into our hands and our feet, we're going to lift our hips up towards the ceiling, creating like this nice ramp with our body. Our knees are reaching forward. Feeling the breath. Hips reaching up with each breath. Last round of breath. Inhale, push a little higher. Exhale to lower. Walk the feet to the outside of the mat and then just knock the knees together in the middle. Relaxing down here. And we'll set up one more time. Pushing into those feet and those hands, lifting the hips. Maybe shimmying the shoulders a little closer together and clasping the hands underneath you. Pushing those hips a little higher. Keeping the knees nice and straight. You don't want your knees to splay out. Releasing the hands and slowly lowering. This time bringing the soles of the feet together and letting those knees splay open. Supta Baddha Konasana. Reclining bound angle. Hands can find somewhere comfortable to place along your body. Some people like to put one hand on their belly and one hand on their heart, and you can feel your breath. I like to put my hands on my hips. So whatever is comfortable. And just take a few gentle, slow, deep breaths here. Really feeling those lungs expanding all the way to capacity, holding an extra second, and slowly letting the lungs deflate. Take 2 more long inhales here. Bring those knees back together and hug your knees in towards your chest and just rock side to side, gently massaging your spine, giving yourself a little hug. And dropping our feet one more time. We're going to take just a couple more poses here. So we're going to cross our left foot over our right knee, right at the ankle, keeping that left foot flexed to open that left hip. If you feel this in the left hip right here, and this is a good stretch, stay right here. This is perfect. If you could go a little deeper and you would like a deeper stretch, you can take your hands and wrap them around that right thigh and pull it in towards your chest. Keeping your spine flat on the floor. Letting your neck relax. Keeping that foot flexed. And again, bringing our focus back to our breath. And when you're ready, slowly releasing that grip, lowering the foot and unwinding. Maybe lengthening both legs for a moment, taking a full body stretch before we take the other side. I like to feel the difference right here between both hips, right? We just stretch that left, feeling a little bit more in that left hip. Coming back to set up again, this time crossing that right foot over the left thigh, flexing that right foot. And if you want to take it deeper, wrapping the hands around that left thigh, or you can always wrap it around the shin, whatever feels good to you. Pulling it in towards the chest to deepen that stretch. Taking just 2 more rounds of breath. And slowly lowering down, releasing. And then just windshield those legs back and forth for a moment. Nice work. So the last thing we're going to do before we go into our Shavasana, I'm going to show you a couple different options. So if you have a block and you want to use one, now I like this pose best with a block. So it's the same as our bridge, pushing in to our feet to lift our hips, placing the block right under our sacrum, that lower back, and then lifting our feet up and just resting comfortably right here. That's one of my favorite poses. So if you have a block and you want to do that, feel free to do that right now. Or if you have a wall, which I also happen to have right here, you can lift your legs up and bring them right up the wall. This is also very comfortable. You don't want it to feel like a lot of work for your abs, right? It's a restorative pose. Letting all the blood flow down through the feet, letting our feet relax. So taking whichever of that pose is the most comfortable for you. And just taking a couple more breaths. Bringing that place from the beginning of class back into our mind. Bringing the feeling that it invokes in us back to our consciousness. If it's a place that makes us feel calm or happy, feeling that emotion, seeing that place, smelling the air, experiencing that place fully in your mind. And when you are ready, slowly bringing your feet down and making your way into our final resting pose of Shavasana. So laying flat out along your mat, feet can splay open, arms can be long by the sides, and just letting go. Letting the muscles and the legs and the feet relax into the mat. Releasing tension from the hips and your core. Letting your shoulders and arms melt down. Unclenching the jaw. Relaxing your facial muscles. and just letting it all go. This pose allows us to get rid of the things that don't serve us. So just like a day, right? At the end of a day, we can go to sleep and let it go. The sun will set, and the next morning, the sun will rise again, and we have a whole new day, a fresh start. This pose allows us to let anything go before we start anew. Slowly pull the knees in towards your chest, reawakening the body. And just fall to one side, coming into a fetal position, our embryo pose. So while our Shavasana allows us to let go, our embryo pose allows a new beginning, a fresh start. And when you're ready, slowly come to sit on your mat, keeping the gaze down or the eyes closed. Take one long round of breath together. Inhale and exhale. And today, we will end with our little chime. So before we finish, just keeping those eyes closed, hands can be at heart center. I'm just going to ring the chime and just listen as long as you can, hearing that chime, breathing and focusing. And bring your thumbs to your third eye, forehead center. The light in me honors and bows to the light in all of you. Namaste. Thank you all for coming. And I will be doing class every Tuesday. And Friday nights is kids class. So if you have some wine or it's time for that, feel free to go do that. And have a lovely evening.